Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and in this video I'm going to show you 3 different ways in which you can attach a guide to a rod blank if you've had a broken guide and you need to replace that guide. Then I'm going to show you how you can replace it. Now if you just click on the link that just shows up at the top of the video now, that shows you how to remove a guide. So if you've got a broken guide, there's just a quick video showing you how to remove that guide. And in this one, I'm just going to show you 3 different ways, from the simplistic way to the proper way, on how to attach a guide. But all 3 will work absolutely fine. Now with the first guide, we'll start with the simplest way of doing it, and that is with electrical tape, and electrical tape only. Now this is a strong bond. It's not permanent, but if you keep it refreshed and cleaned, probably every 3 or 4 trips, this will withstand any fish that you hook. I've had a taped on guide and played a 200-pound stingray, 200-pound plus stingray, and it didn't budge. So this will hold absolutely fine. It's very simple. What I would do, always give yourself a nice straight cut. Don't have a ripped end or where you've stretched it. Offer your guide to the blank, and then you can just very simply tape it on. But you want to be keeping it nice and tight. We can just turn this as it goes, and I always do 5 wraps. You want it tight so as you're just tight enough, just to the point where it's just starting to stretch but not actually stretching the tape. So that's 4, that's 5. Pair of scissors, nice straight cut, keeping it clean. Do the same for the other side. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Nice and smooth, not any creases in that. Cut that off, tape it round. There we have it. That is not moving. That's not going to move anywhere out of there. So if you want to quickly attach a guide, that's the way to do it. Now, if you want to make it look a little bit more professional, or a little bit more in keeping with your rod, then the next thing you can do is attach a guide with tape, and then we'll put finish over it. So with this one, same principle. We wrap it, five times. So to coat this guide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up Flex Coat High Build. So this is a 2-part resin with flex in it for these guides. You don't want to use epoxy. You'll get bubbles in it, it'll crack over time and it starts to yellow. So you want to get proper rod wrapping finish, and Flex Coat is the best, one of the best. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix it up now. Now if you want to learn how to mix it properly, then please check out the link up the top, and that is Flex Coat. They will show you how to mix it properly. So I'm going to mix this up now and then show you how to apply it. So I've mixed up my high build, and what I'm going to do, there's a few bubbles in it, but I am going to pour it out onto a plate of foil. And what that does, it basically gives you more working time with the finish. It slows the set down. There we go. And then what you can do is, if your new to this, you can just get a bit of tape. You can tape over the edges, just over like that, so you can get a straight line. But I don't do that. And then what we're going to do with this, because this is tape, we are going to basically cover the whole area, because we want good adhesion onto the blank, and there's no penetration through this tape at all. So basically we want to get adhesion just at the ends and through the middle. So I'm going to start the turner on this, and just with a nice soft brush we'll get it on. Now I'm just slowing down a little bit and getting some of this high build underneath the feet there in the gaps, because if you want any pockets where there's not going to be any finish, you want any water getting in there, just getting that under there, making sure I don't get it on the guide foot, don't want to mess. Now this is all self-leveling, so you haven't got to be too neat. I'm just covering it all. There we go. And we can do the other side. Now one last little thing you can do on this, we're going to set that turner to drying mode. Now if you haven't got a turner, which a lot of you won't have, you will want to basically get a cardboard box with two V shapes cut in each end, so you can rest the rod in it, and you will have to turn it every sort of 10 seconds for the first few minutes, then 20 seconds, and just slow it down until you basically see it starts drying and it's not dripping. Now what we do with this last thing to get rid of some of the last bubbles, I haven't got an alcohol lamp, but I have got a hairdryer, but I don't want to start blowing everything around, so low heat, we'll just get rid of these bubbles. There we go, that's your first coat on there. We'll let that dry. And here we have it, the dried taped on guide. Looks very good. Very smooth finish on that. No bubbles. There we go. Perfectly adequate for anything. Super strong. It's not going to go anywhere. And if you haven't got time to do threads, but you want to get a guide on your blank permanently, this is the way to do it. So the third way is to whip it on. Now you can do this by hand. You can just turn the blank in your hand, slowly whip it on, but obviously I've got a rod turner, so I'm going to do it in that. Now as you can see on the foot of this guide there at the end, I have just chamfered that down a little bit more, so I've got a smoother transition when the thread starts to come up over the guide foot. So when they come factory cut, there's quite an angle on that. So what I tend to do, and what everyone tends to do, is just grind that down with a grindstone, Dremel, and just make that a less of an angle, so that the thread will come up over that without any complications. And the first thing to do with this is just get a little bit of tape, and we tape one end just in place like that, and then we're going to whip this one on, and then we can take the tape off and whip the other side on. So it's very simple to whip a guide on. You want to take difficult here because I've got black on black. But you can see the thread in my hand. Just like that. Now, there's my guide foot there. I'm going to go back probably about 8 mil in the guide foot. I'm going to take that thread round once and I'm going to bring it on the inside of the thread as it goes round. So I'm bringing this tag end on the inside like so. Now I'm just going to grab the thread that's coming off the spool and just overlap it on over that thread. So let me turn that a little bit. Don't know if you can see, but I've made like a cross. I've got the tag end there, that's coming there, and I've crossed over it. Basically I'm holding it in place. Now what I'm going to do, just hold that my finger on there. I'm going to wrap over that a couple more times. So just keep tension on it. And there we go. I am again going over that tag end. So I've got 2 bits of line over that tag end. Then I'm going round again. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm happy with that. And with a blade, knife, cutting that off. Flush. Now I can start the turner and I can just work this slowly up the guide foot. There we are, you can see it getting thicker and thicker. Now you just got to be careful as it comes onto the foot that you don't go over your thread. And sometimes it's best to do this bit by hand for a little bit if you want to make sure. You really don't want to rush this and get this right. Once it starts coming up and over, you just start doing it again. So when you're getting towards the end of the foot of the guide, what you want to do, or what I do, is I get a bit of thread in the same thickness or thicker, no lighter than the thread that you're whipping with, and then I make a loop. So there it is, long bit of thread. Just make a loop like that. Tuck the loop underneath the black thread that's coming on, like so. And then it goes in place by the guide foot there, and then by hand just wrap round 5 or 6 times. I'll do one more, like so. Finger on the thread because you want to keep that tight on there. Then with a blade, just cut the black thread and put the end of the thread through the big loop. I don't know if you can see that. I've gone through the loop, and then get the 2 tag ends, pull it down, pull the tag end back through, and there we have it. You're whipped on. Your tag ends are both caught underneath the whipping, so they're held in place tight. And then with a blade, you can angle the rod so you can see straight down and cut it off as close as you can without cutting the thread. And then a bit of wood, bit of plastic, any gaps you've got, you can just burr them back like so. Just run this over, just fills the gaps like so. Right, now we'll do the other side. So with this guide, pretty much the same as I did with the last one, but what I'm going to do is just try and tuck some of this down into the holes that are sitting by the corners there. And I can get the turner going. I can actually do them while it's turning. Get some on while I'm going. Get it around there. I'll do the other one. Try and poke it down there. Once that's coated, again we can use a hairdryer just to get rid of the bubbles. And there we have it. So that's the whipped on guide with the finish all dried 24 hours later. Looking good, and this really comes into its own when you start putting trim bands on it or inlaying threads, doing different colours, doing under wraps. This is where this is far superior to tape, because you can only do tape in one colour. This, you can start matching rods and everything else. And there we have it. Lovely. Well, I hope this has helped. You have 3 ways of attaching a guide to a blank. If you're in a rush and you want to go fishing and you need to get a guide on, there we are, tape's your bet. If you haven't got all the material to whip a guide on, then you can tape it and finish it. And then if you want to do it properly, you can whip it on. And there you have it. Well, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.